Hey everyone, I tried to shoot a video on the computer, it didn't work out, so I'm just gonna shoot it on my phone and see what happens. So today I'd like to talk about a company called Coupang, which is kind of like the Amazon of South Korea. And once again, this is not investing advice, I'm just walking through my process. So this is not how to invest, it's how I invest, and just keeping a contemporaneous record of my uh, thought process. And if you find it helpful, fine. And I'm just going to go through what I saw in it and why I like it. So, on the video that I did on St. Joe, I mentioned that when a company has a certain advantage, that's fine. But usually, when they have two or three and they sort of combine, you get this really force multiplier effect, and that's sort of what you have with Coupang. So you have part of it, which is other people's money, and part of it, which is a really efficient operation, and then they combine, and then you've got a really great company. So a little about Coupang. It's a retailer in South Korea that's often compared to Amazon. It's kind of like Amazon, but it does not have the cloud. So they spent years building out their warehouses and everything like that in Korea. And Korea, it's a little different than the U.S. in that a lot of the people, because it's very mountainous, live in the valley close together, and so you can service a lot of people in the cities. It's not spread out the way it is in the U.S., and that sort of works to Coupang's advantage because for years it looked like they weren't making any money, but what they were actually doing, like in the early days of Amazon, is just taking all the money they make and plowing it back into the company to provide better service, more warehouses, quicker delivery, and there was actually a waiting list to join the equivalent that they have of Amazon Prime because they intentionally did not grow as fast as they could have because they said, we want to provide customers a great experience. And if we take on too many customers at one time, they're not going to have the great experience that the prior customers have. So uh, they actually, were very intentional about that and putting money back into the business to sort of grow the business and create the moat. And it's got one of the things I like about it, and I haven't heard other investors discuss this, but there's something that I call a ratchet. And a ratchet, like on a car or tool, it only goes one way, it doesn't go the other way. So there's certain things in your life which are kind of like a ratchet. So internet usage. 10 years ago, there was a certain amount of time you used the internet. Uh, as time goes on, you use it more and more every year. There's not a year that goes by where you use less of it. Internet bandwidth. Some of you might be old enough to remember when you had dial-up bandwidth, like with AOL Online, and and internet kept getting faster and faster, and then people use more and more bandwidth on the internet. So that goes up every year. It doesn't go down. Um, and uh, Amazon sort of has that because when I first signed on to Amazon, I would use it maybe a couple of times a year to order books, and now I use it almost every week. And Coupang has that sort of customer loyalty, and they have added things like food delivery and things like that, which make it more attractive to be on Coupang. And they're actually better at executing on some metrics than Amazon because Amazon, normally you get 2 or 3 day delivery. Sometimes they'll be able to get you next day, but it's usually 2 or 3 day delivery. But on Coupang, if you order something before midnight, it'll be at your door by 7 a.m. That's how good they are. So they spent years and billions building out their infrastructure. And when they went public, I believe it was like $45 a share or something. And then right after they went public, they had a couple of setbacks where there was a fire in the main warehouse and someone actually died. And then a lot of people were boycotting the company, and so the stock tanked, and that's where I sort of got interested in it because of the incredible growth and the advantages that this has. I started buying around 27, which was too early, and it went all the way down to about 13, and I kept buying along the way all the way down to 13, and now it's back at 21. So I don't think I'm going to buy it anymore at this price, but it's still a great company. And one of the things that has going for it, as I said, is sort of that ratchet effect. So if in year one you buy, you know, one times, whatever the average sale is, in year two it's usually 1.5, year three it's 1.9, year four, 2.5, and then, as you have this for more and more years, the amount that you use it goes up and up. And as they were acquiring new customers, it's very expensive to acquire new customers. So, if you're spending uh, $100 to acquire a customer, and then the first year they only order $20 worth of items, that makes it look like you're losing money. But, if you think about, well, if this person is with me for 5 or 6 years and every year they're using more, uh, pretty soon those numbers that look like losses are going to flip to profits. So that's sort of what they had going for it. And um, Another thing that is sort of interesting, they're expanding. They've done really well in Korea, and now they're expanding into Taiwan. And the early adopters in Taiwan seem to be using the product more than they did when it first started in Korea. So it looks like Taiwan could be a bigger growth story than Korea. And Taiwan, you sort of have some advantages that you don't in Korea because Taiwan has this animosity with China, so companies like Alibaba or Tencent are not really able to make inroads there. And in Korea, Alibaba and Tencent aren't real competitors to Coupang. Alibaba announced they were spending another $1 billion this year on warehouses in South Korea, and then the price of Coupang stock dropped. But if Coupang is spending $3 billion on more warehouses this year in Korea, and that's just again to deliver the best possible service and to be able to provide that service to everyone. And Another thing that people don't think about, besides the fact that people use this more the longer they're on the system, they become more profitable. So if you look at Amazon's numbers, their most profitable month is December. And why is that? It's because they have the same number of warehouses, the same number of servers, the same number of employees, but they're doing a lot more business. So it becomes more profitable. And so as Coupang keeps growing, and they have the same number of warehouses, the same number of employees, then their profit margin, which is pretty low now, it's about 4 or 5%. That can go to 10%, which is what they're aiming for. And if that's the case, if it stays at the same price earnings multiple, then that's a double right there. If it keeps growing in Korea and it keeps growing in Taiwan, um, you know, even if it grows, well, let's say 10% a year or 20% a year, then 20% a year, which is a lot less than it's growing now. I think it was growing 38% last year, but let's say it grows 20% a year. After 5 years, that's a double as well. And then, if you have uh, doubling your revenue and increasing your profit margin, then you've got more doubles in there. So that's one advantage they have. And their only real serious competitor in South Korea is a company called Naver, which is sort of like Google and Shopify. So what Naver does is for these small and medium companies, they let them order through Naver, through an online portal. But the advantage that Coupang has is one, you're going through Coupang, not through these all independent mom and pops, and so you're not sure about how good the delivery is, or if there's a problem, if they'll take it back, because you're dealing with thousands of vendors with all different return policies and things like that, and customer service. But with Coupang, it's a seamless transaction, and you're going to get treated well, and it's always the next day. And they have other things in their app, the equivalent of Prime, which is called Wow, like food delivery, rocket delivery. So if you're ordering food every day or several times a week, that's more interactions that you have with Coupang, and then you're sort of building this habit where, just like with Amazon, in the early days, people would shop on Amazon and then they would compare prices with Walmart or Costco or Target. and see who's got the best price. But you keep ordering from Amazon, and nowadays I just if I need something, many times I go on Amazon. I don't even check the price anywhere else. And Coupang looks like it's got that same characteristic going for it. Another thing which is really interesting and kind of a force multiplier is their cost of capital. Insurance companies have this thing called float. So if you sign up with Geico, you'll pay insurance premiums for several years, and then eventually you'll have an accident, and then they'll pay out that money. So they try to break even on the insurance, but they get to play with the money for several years before they have to pay out, and that ends up being a really profitable business for insurance companies like Berkshire Hathaway, which Warren Buffett runs. But there's also other companies that have this kind of float-like characteristics. So if you think about Walmart, Walmart sells a lot of volume quickly, and if they sell the volume quickly and they pay suppliers slowly, then they have that money, which doesn't cost them anything, which they can use to expand. So as Coupon has been expanding year after year and growing, they have that same money to use, sort of interest free, that they can use to grow. And it might have been 100 million, 200 million in the beginning, but now you're talking about 1.5 billion, I think it was, that they have cash on hand that belongs to their suppliers that they can use to fund their growth. So instead of borrowing to build new warehouses at 10% or whatever the interest rates are in Korea, you're essentially getting it free. And the more you grow, the more that number is going to grow, and the more free money you have to keep expanding. And that's going to be tough to compete with for anyone who wants to make inroads against that. So on average, um, the stuff that Coupang buys from their suppliers, they sell within 30 days, and on average, they pay within 90 days. So, they've got that 2 months of stuff to, where they can pay for it for free. And when I said it's 1.5 billion, it's not 1.5 billion for 60 days. It's 1.5 billion for the whole year, because uh, after they pay off that 1.5 billion, they're still ordering more stuff. So on day one, you sell it, uh, or day 30, and then on day 90, you're paying back the supplier, but you're also ordering more stuff from them, so that keeps moving along, and you've always got that 1.5 billion, and that's growing. So as long as the company keeps growing, that 1.5 billion keeps growing, and they'll have more money to expand into places like Taiwan, and more money to sort of cement their moat in Korea to keep people from being able to come in. And as I said, Naver is the serious competitor. That's the equivalent of Google. Alibaba and Tencent don't seem to be a big threat. The department stores are run by the big chaebols, which are like conglomerates in South Korea. So Hyundai, which is the car company and shipping company, they have a department store, and Samsung has a department store. So they don't like Coupang, but customers love it because it's great service and they're generally better prices than you get at these department stores. So what are the potential drawbacks? I think their potential drawback is not necessarily companies like Alibaba or Tencent, but it's actually the Korean government. So just like the U.S. government likes to take pot shots at Amazon or Walmart, saying that they should pay their workers more and offer them more benefits, yada yada. Coupang has the same issue where there's so many people that work in delivery for Coupang or in the warehouses that they get the same complaints about, you should pay them more and offer them more benefits. And that's a complaint coming from the government. So the same problems that you have here with government being sort of hostile towards businesses, and sort of being egged on by Amazon's competitors like Walmart. You have that in Korea with the big department stores sort of teaming up and like putting pressure on the government to try to get Coupang to do more for their workers. But again, I don't think that's a serious threat, and has a lot going for it. So even at these prices, it still seems like a good deal to me. And if it came down again, I would buy more. But I bought from 20. It wasn't even 27. It was 28, and I bought all the way down to 13. So I'm up on it now that it's at 21. But if I had bought too much early, I think I would have regretted it. And I won't say I bottom ticked it because I just kept buying and buying all the way down. I didn't wait till it was at the bottom because you never know when the bottom's going to be. Nobody's going to ring a bell while it's there. But at 21, which is about 30 times earnings, it's still not terrible because it's growing more than 30% a year, and I think it's got a long runway ahead of it. I think if they make some missteps, that could be a problem. So besides the issue with the government, they did really well expanding into Taiwan, but they sort of did a pilot project where they tried to expand into Japan, which is already a developed market, and it didn't go well. And kudos to them because they cut their losses and pulled up stakes. They said, okay, if we can't make money on this, we're not going to throw good money after bad, and they went on with that. And there's other companies like there's a company called SEA, which did really well. Well, their stock price did, and they expanded quickly, but they expanded into countries like Malaysia and Indonesia, where people don't make as much, and so it didn't turn out too well. So I think Coupang, which is focusing on economies like South Korea and Taiwan, where the average income is higher, they'll have an easier time making money offering this premium product than they will other countries targeting places like Indonesia or Malaysia, which don't make enough money, and even growing economies like India. The economy is growing and has 1 billion people, but it would be hard for you to be able to set up a company that can service 1 billion people, and that would take a lot of capital. So I think picking their battles and going with these smaller countries, which are very high income, is doing really well for them. And if you look at the share count, the owner Bon Kim, he hasn't been diluting, which is great because a lot of times with tech companies they issue a lot of shares to reward employees or issue to themselves, like Tesla does. And so even if you invest in a company, they keep diluting. You're sort of that eats away at your profit. But the share count hasn't gone up with this, so he runs it like an owner and he runs it very responsibly and definitely thinking for the long term. So that's my idea for Coupang. And if you guys are familiar with it, or if you have any negative ideas, just leave them in the comments. I'd like to hear it. And then I plan on doing a couple more videos. One is FRPH, which is a company that has some real estate and they have some mines in Florida. Another company I might do. Uh, Nintendo, which I'm buying, or I was buying, and Enphase, which I was buying up until last week. And yeah, so that's what's in the future. And Coupang we just did now. And if you guys have any suggestions, let me know. Um, all right, have a great day.